think there's first of all, I'm a lifelong resident of North Reading. Well, you can't.
Talk a little louder.
Okay, sorry, how's that? All right. I'm a lifelong resident. I spent my whole life in North Reading. I lived my 4 years in the military. And I've raised my kids here, and it's just been a wonderful thing. The school department has been one of the things that I was just most impressed with. One of my kids had some big issues in school, and the school just helped out. You know, if anybody remembers George McGurn, he was an incredible guy for the great school there. And when that was all when everything was finally all settled out, I realized that at some point I was going to have to give back for everything I got. And so I ran to the planning board, and I've been on ever since. It's 3 years now. So this has been a little bit of a difficult couple of years, as it was alluded to, with some of the things we've been dealing with, especially with this MBTA adjacent situation. But I think a little bit of background on a couple of things that might be interesting to people. So, first of all, the sites that we had looked at over there at Edgewood and Marks Landing, that whole area, the base of zoning there is IO, which is industrial office. We created that district when we knew we were going to have control of that land, but we had to do more than good spot zones. We did a couple places. We also zoned Concord Street IO, industrial office. So that was an attempt to solve this problem and get as much industry as we could. So the planning board has been working on this for a long time, but it didn't work out so well. And I wanted to remind everybody that the town voted for a residential overlay district over in that area, or else there wouldn't be any residential there at all right now. So you need to keep that in mind. We've actually spent a lot of money over the years on consultants trying to create some kind of a downtown situation for the town. And it's been but the geography of the situation just doesn't work out. That's the problem. We don't have a place where we can just, go to and create. We tried to create that site with the Heffron property and the Stop and Shop property, or those properties over there, but we didn't really have the opportunity to. So my time here.
Just about.
Okay. So I consider it a privilege to work for this town, to be. And working with the select board has been good. I can't say enough about the cooperation that we've had over the years. We haven't always agreed, but ultimately we've all come to what we consider to be a good decision for all of us. So,
questions for Mr. Pierce? Great. Go ahead.
How you doing, John Griffin? It's not really a question. Warren, I'd like to thank you for your service in the town, because that takes a lot. You've given a lot of your life to this community. And Warren, I butt heads with you all the time, buddy, but man, if there's anybody I respect, it's Warren. So I just want to say thank you, Warren.
And again, we don't always agree, but we always are friends. We walk into that meeting, whatever battle we have there, we walk out with friends. And I think that's an important component. I think when we brought it up, it really is important, because if we can sit at a meeting as friends and make decisions, we're going to make better decisions if we're not fighting for some personal thing. So we would do that. Thank you, Jeff. That's exactly what we do.
Question? Hi, Tim Sutherland, 17 Maple Road. A preview question for all four of you. Are you in favor of a targeted sewer-like development, whether it be package treatment, connecting the Andover, connecting to whatever, to allow for economic development on maybe Main Street and Concord Street, where that's commercial property today?
Yeah, thank you. We kind of need sewer on our main roads, on our main streets, and we have a bunch of businesses out there that are constantly having to work on their septic systems to keep them working. The restaurants especially have a difficult time keeping the systems going. I think the portion they spent in excess of $500,000 so that people can flush the toilet in there. That's excessive. But I'm in favor of having some kind of a sewer system. I was not in favor of the project coming all the way down 125. That was ridiculous. But for the record, I was on the sewer wastewater advisory board for 15 years here in town, and we wrote a whole program about what could be done, which included packaged treatment plants. We couldn't get consensus from the select board that packaged treatment plant was something that they wanted to have. They were pretty much saying we were never going to have that. Of course, now we have them at Edgewood, we have one at the high school. You know, we've moved on, okay, so there's no resistance to that now. So the answer is yes, that could actually happen now, because I think that the fear of running one of those plants is gone, and the value of it's beginning to show itself, because that system at the high school is big enough to handle all of our downtown public buildings. So that's essentially what we're going to work on, is try to get everything piped over up to the pump station, pump it up to that treatment plant, and then none of those other places will be septic systems. We'll eliminate all the costs and everything for that. So, and the thing is about a treatment plant is, at school, is that the things need to be fed all the time. So if you have a treatment plant and you have school, and suddenly all the kids go away and it stops getting food, you have to go and actually feed it. They eat like dog food, stuff like that, just to keep it alive. Well, if we can call the buildings up to it, problem solved. Not only does it solve the problems of the buildings, but it keeps the system fed and keeps it operating normally. So there's a bunch of good things. So we also got some money from town meeting to look into packaged treatment plants out on Main Street, which we did, and it's a viable situation. It's something that we could do. We have discharge areas that have already been tested and approved by the DEP or by the DPW. We have some still up where Mines Landing is. They took some of our beach area, but we still have a piece of property up there that we did some soil testing on, that I think would support rather a large amount of the discharge necessary. Because when we have a packaged treatment plant, we have to discharge everything in the town. We can't be sending it out. So yeah, there's some exciting things that are available there as we work our way through them.
Other questions?
I might live with a CBC member, but I don't want to ask the other CBC members questions. Hi, Lauren. Thank you. So I'm sure everyone here knows that in addition to the community planning board, you have a community planner who's employed by the town, and you work hand in hand with her. And I would assume that the goals of the community planning commission help guide some of her decisions, and perhaps vice versa, right? So one of the things that I hear over and over again from different people, myself included, is why is 28 so unattractive? Why is it so ugly? When you go to other communities and you see, say, a Dunkin' Donuts or a McDonald's that are held to a certain standard. So my question to you is, moving forward, can you make it a community planning goal to encourage some sort of a standard to be created for commercial buildings in North Reading? That's my question.
No, in fact, actually did that already. At one point, we spent quite a bit of money over the years, at many different times, on consultants with an attempt to do something about Route 28, to beautify it, to give it some kind of character. So we actually put together 4 separate districts out there in an attempt to encourage like buildings in the area. So a certain style of building was in this area, a certain style over there, and we attempted to encourage that. But that's not always easy, because a lot of times what happens is a vendor comes in and they have their own brand, they have their own picture. Dunkin' Donuts is a good example. Getting them to change the way they look was, we did to some extent, but because at one point they had a terrible color scheme, to say the least, and we managed to get them to be a little more reasonable. But again, they have their brand, and they want to keep their brand, and so that's a little bit tenuous, and you don't want to lose the businesses because they do contribute to the tax base in the town. But one of the people that we hired tried to turn this into Edgartown, you know, and we're like, we don't have that kind of a space, you know, because if you don't know Edgartown, it's right on the edge of the water, and then they have a nice big downtown area they could work with. We don't have that area. We tried to create one over by the Efron property over there, but that just didn't work out. But we don't really have a space that really is available to us to create that. Now, I know the town is looking at making alluded to it, they're going to look at the Stop and Shop property, maybe acquiring that. I don't know if they give us that piece of property and the opportunity to turn us loose, we'll come up with something. Because that would be a nice big location where you could perhaps have some kind of a center situation and maybe put town offices there so that you would go there for your town offices and maybe some retail stuff, restaurant stuff, something like that. But it would be a gathering point because we just don't have a good one in this town right now. So I wish we could. We've tried many times, but the geography, the way North Reading is laid out, does not lend itself to a Reading or an Andover.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Next up, Mr. David Rudolph.
Hey everyone, I'm Dave Rudolph. I'm running for my third term on the CPC. For those that don't know me very well, my wife is there, Noelle. We have two daughters, Arden and Gray, 14 and 12. They're in the middle school. Some of them that know and see us socially, they're very active in dance and theater. It's most of the time what they're doing, what we're doing, back and forth. I was actually going to do this in like fifth position, but I gotta show them up. They teach me on my moves. I'm also just to give you a full roundup. I'm seeking my third term, but also I'm on the fire station committee. Just got appointed to the selection committee for the fire station committee for the recent RFP. Those two things really work to my background. I'm an architect. I went on my own in 2009 as an owner project manager. And for those of you that don't know that term, in public school works, there's an OPM, you hear the term. It's a group that you hire, a firm, a person that you hire to run the project. They typically get involved with scoping out the project, hiring the architects, the contractors, doing the RFPs, managing the project, doing the contracts, the budgets, and things like that. So I've been doing that for the better part of 35 years, and on my own since 2009, and since 2006. Since 2006, I've been involved in over $527 million worth of construction. I've built every kind of thing you can build. I've built nuclear power plants. I've built, all industrial things that make aircraft engine components. I've built all residential, multifamily, residential. I'm doing those right now. I'm doing a 14-story building right now in Boston. I do everything, and from that, and so I'm not in just one kind of field. And not being in just one field, I learn a lot from these different types of projects. And because of that, I think that helps me where I come to the table here and sit across different developers, or if there's different types of projects that are proposed in town, and I can bring my experience. And that's exactly why when there was an opening on CPC 6 years ago that I took a shot, and I said, I think I can help the town. That for me, so it's been a pleasure serving as a volunteer, and I'm also excited, although not related, but with the fire station project, that's been a real blast, and that's it. I appreciate taking questions.
Great, any questions? Go ahead.
Hi, Sarah Mulder, John Bickford Way. Mr. Rudolph, I watched the CPC meeting on Monday. I watched it until 10:10 because my bedtime's about 9 o'clock, and that was the state of I really appreciate how your position on the has evolved as you've gained more information. And for those of you who weren't at the fall town meeting, it was just a bit of a cluster. There was a lot of question marks. There was this law that, to Mr. Scarlato's point, wasn't meant to be a mandate. We didn't know if it would be upheld. We didn't know, is the 55-plus community in question, there was an issue there? What grants could we possibly lose? How many other towns would we lose? There was a lot of unknowns. And it was not supported. The adoption of it was not supported. It was not recommended by the CPC. And now we know a lot more, right? However we do or do not like the mandate, it is here, and the SJC in Massachusetts has said it's valid. We are given a deadline to comply. And we heard all through tonight about how poor this town is revenue-wise and how disastrous these cuts could be to our police, our fire, our schools. And we know that there are grants. We may not get them, to Mr. Scarlato's point, but we would lose eligibility to apply for them. And that's money we need. We also would have to pay them. And my question is, will you continue to try to work toward a recommendation for this town meeting, because this is the board, to continue for the April 28th meeting to come forward with a recommendation of how the town could come into compliance if the voters so choose at town meeting?
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I think, as everyone knows, it really came on the radar for everybody in town around January last year, of 24. You even had, Mr. O'Leary even said it on Tuesday night at the meeting. He was floored when he understood what the law was about. You know, so he even admitted, and that was about that time. I think it might have been at the end of the year, maybe 23. They wanted, and I was at that meeting, this select board meeting. So all of us here, Jeff, whatever, we were getting our head around it. So if we look at how far we've come in over a year, what we knew in April of 24 to what we know now is incredible. There's been just so much more information. There's been lawsuits, there's been SGC rulings, there's been additional non-discretionary, grant changes. There's been a lot of information. So the way I approach any problem, or I'm sure many of you, or a decision, whether it's at home or business, is I want more information before I make a decision. And I think there was a lot of pressure on the CPC early on to just do a deal. And we were all saying to each other, even Warren here, there's no rush, we're not at a deadline, let's try to find out more information. So we were pretty unified in that approach. But now we're here, right? And I think that's what you're getting at, Sarah, is we're here now. And unlike a politician, if I got this 1 year of information change, I'd still have the same position, right? Because that's the way politics works right now. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, if you're a Democrat, you're gonna, even all that change of information, it's gonna be the same as it was a year ago. But I'm not a politician, okay? And I have no interest in that stuff. I kind of haven't liked the way things have gone in town with that. But at the same rate, I'm approaching it in the same way. So I do evolve. I do change my position, and I see the reality that the state is going to continue to get more aggressive and fine us, and we'll have legal bills and things like that. So to get to the point, to get to your question is, yeah, I've evolved, so I've changed the way I look at things. I have more information right now, and what I want to get to, and what I stated at the meeting, and we're committed to, we have a Zoom call this coming week, after Easter, is to come up with a proposal that does the best proposal. It might not be the Martin's Landing one that Steve O'Leary put in a citizen's petition. It might be something different. But I do really feel like we need to put something forward. And that's the responsibility of the CPC to do. I know Warren is behind me in that. He's been the sole person behind it the whole time, admittedly. But again, we're our own people. Warren and I are kind of joined in that we want at least to get a proposal to the town meeting so that people can vote on it. That's the key. If the town votes no, we all have to understand that's what the town wants. And a lot of people are going to say, well, that's what they did in October. But we did in October when we didn't have all this information. We have SJC rulings. We have a lot more information right now. So you cannot say it's the same situation. So that's where I've come from, and I hope people respect that. I'm not just flip-flopping. I got more information, and that's what I'm going with right now. that, and then I hope we can get it on as a warrant, and the select board will accept it and go from there. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much.
There it is. Good day, everybody. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is John Cost. I've been a member of the community for over 18 years. My wife and I both grew up in the area, both graduates of Masconomet. I was a Benton resident until 22, 23 years old. We moved here to raise a family because we wanted our children to have a childhood similar to ours, with a town that they can be proud of, and neighbors that they knew. We have put down strong roots since then, having lived in 2 different houses in 2 different areas of town, raising 4 children, moving one of our parents here with us, and building lasting friendships. I'm here today because I want to be an active member of the community and show my children how to be involved. I want to ensure this town continues to thrive both for my children and for generations to come. The CPC seemed like a good way to start, as it involves how the town will grow and change in the coming years. As I see it, this role carries some important responsibilities. It is the planning committee, and so comprehensive planning is at the heart of it. That means looking ahead at the town's short-term and long-term plans. We need to make sure that our zoning laws and regulations are aligned with the productive vision of that future. It's about thoughtful, strategic planning that looks not just at today's needs, but at where we want to be 5, 10, even 20 years from now. How much do we want to keep the same because we love our town, and how much do we need to evolve and change to stay vital? This committee is also important in its advisory role, offering guidance to the town's governing body on planning matters and holding public hearings to engage the people who call this community home. Being the parent of 4 children and also living with one of its seniors, I feel like I have a good cross-section of understanding of the different needs of the town. I believe I bring a grounded perspective and a strong commitment to serving the community. In my career, I've always been someone looking to help. My personal motto as a pilot has always been, is it safe and is it legal? And that served me very well for close to 30 years. I strive in whatever endeavor I undertake or am assigned to, always leave it better than I found it. As an instructor, I've always tried to find the best method to get what I'm teaching across, and I've found that generally works. In my career, I've led training departments, as well as several union committees, and take pride in my ability to see a problem from all sides and work towards the best outcomes. I will bring these experiences to the Community Planning Commission as well. Thank you again for your time and consideration. I look forward to the opportunity to contribute to the town moving forward.
Great, any questions, please?
All right, Mr. Rudloff got by me, but I'll get this one. What's your position on a targeted sewer project for commercial properties in town?
I think that it's important that we find a way, whether it's through what Warren was saying with, what's that?
Package treatment.
The package treatment plant, or sewers coming in from both sides of 28. It's my understanding that our stretch of 28 is the only stretch from Boston to New Hampshire that doesn't have sewer, and that needs to be addressed. I think there's only one way to really help all of our economic burden by increasing the revenue in the town with businesses, and those businesses need to be able to dump their waste, and as well as the MBT zoning for multifamily. They also need a place to let all that go. So I'm in favor of it.
Other questions? Other questions? Oh, go ahead, Doug.
Deputy, yes, we have a master plan. Are we looking at it, and has it been modified, updated? You're a newcomer, and I think I mentioned this to you about that document to be a holistic document that's used to help integrate all the facets of the community and our agenda for the community. How do you see the notion of trying to implement the master plan?
I have not had an opportunity yet to lay eyes on the program, on the plan. but I did mention in my statement, looking ahead 5, 10, 20 years, and where we're going to leave the town to our children and their children is important.
Other questions? Do you have anything else you'd like to say in your 3 minutes?
I think I did well staying out of your
Yeah, you did a good job.
going over.
That's a great one. Great.
And I'll hand it off to Mr. Sheen.
Thank you very much.
Everybody hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Good?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, hold on a second.
Towards the microphone.
There we go.
Third time's the charm. Good evening. My name is Edward Shan. My wife and I have lived in North Reading for over 13 years. I graduated from Massachusetts College of Pharmacy in 1992. Worked at Walgreens for over 30 years. As a pharmacist, pharmacy manager, district supervisor. In 2021, I started opened up my own pharmacy. Going good for a while, thank you, very good. Over the past few years, I became more and more interested in our town's government. Began attending meetings with the CPC and the select board, either online or in person. When a position opened up on the CPC in 2024, I put my name in. I was fortunate enough that on November 18th, I was voted onto the board by a 7-1 vote for the combined CPC select board. During my time in CPC, we've had a variety of issues, the biggest obviously being the MBTA and the ADUs. You may agree or not agree with my position. That's in time, we're all entitled to our own opinions. My thought process going forward is consistent with the mission and the vision of the Community Planning Commission, which is to maintain the rural aspect of our town. The other thing is, no doubt, even once we get past the MBTA, the state is going to be coming back with more mandates. My responsibility will be to identify the pros and cons of how those impact the people of North Reading and the town in its entirety. I will more than listen. I will bring your input to the table, be part of the discussion. You'll be pleased to know that you have a CPC member who will advocate for North Reading as you would for yourself against any infringement on your property rights. Thank you for your time, and I'll take any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Chief?
Well, we're ready for this one.
Do I have to ask it again?
I would be in favor of finding some way to bring sewer down to Main Street. I think, as everybody has stated here, that it's needed, and that would certainly help spur development along that stretch of road. So yes, I would be in favor of something.
Short and sweet. Any other questions? Great.
Hi, Martha Humphries, 380 Road. I'm just curious in the sense of getting sewer on Route 28 in terms of the cost, and are there concerns about the cost, especially with how the town is struggling right now with the budget? Also, I very much want to support everything and be informed, and that, but one thing I also have concern about in the town that I hardly hear anyone talk about is environmental concerns and also traffic concerns. So for somebody that lives on the other side of Main Street, or 28, it takes quite a bit of time to get from one side of town to the other if we're going during rush hour. So, just some considerations I have, and I guess my question for you is, do you have anything to say in terms of the cost for the sewer?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not an engineer of any sort, I'm a pharmacist. So as far as what the costs would be, I could just be throwing out a random number. I wouldn't have any idea what a cost would be. Lauren might have a better idea what a number could be. But, as I said, I'd be in favor of it, but yes, a cost issue is going to have to be also a driving factor of it.
Great question.
Two things. One is there's one additional person who happens to be sitting over there in the last piece of person. This actually is for the gentleman on the CPC, and I know Tech is on there as well. Dave, I heard what you said about the meeting next week, and that is great. I also know that you probably miss your wife because she's in a lot of school committee meetings.
You don't see it. This is our date night, by the way.
That's both my question and my request, and that is, we need to get to a second solution. The one that's on the table, anyway, I would like to see something come. If that means meeting on a more regular basis, I would ask that you guys all consider that till we come to something that can be brought to the town meeting or next town meeting. Thank you. Thank you.
Any response? No, we do have a meeting coming up, and certainly try and come to some sort of solution. But right now the proposal on the table is the one that's a citizen's petition. Whether we can come up with something else as a group, that remains to be seen.
Great. Another question?
Yeah, just thanks for, I actually didn't know your position on the MBTA 3A, so thank you. I do wonder, some of the sense I got from town meeting was, so I'm on the sustainability committee, I'll say that, and very interested in livable communities. Some of the sense I got from the town meeting was that people didn't want more people in North Reading. If that were the case, I wouldn't have been able to move here, and that North Reading made space for me, it made space for my family, all that. I'm just wondering, part of the challenge that with the proposal as put forward, which I supported, but it actually wasn't going to build new, because it was an overlay on existing properties, it wasn't necessarily going to get us new housing. What is your sense? I mean, should we be building more housing, multifamily or other, in North Reading, or are we full?
I mean, it's a good question. It's a hard question to answer. As was stated earlier tonight, we're over almost $2 million in the deficit right now, and it was also stated that just 1 or 2 children can take up the taxes that upwards of 3 housing units generate. So if we were to do these multifamily projects, it's going to take potentially the budget deficit that the school committee's on right now, trying to deal with. It could just blow that up. So, what's the right answer to that? I don't know. But looking at the cost that we're dealing with the school committee right now, that's going to be a hard thing to find balance for. If we were to add another 400 units somewhere, and put another 400, 500, 600 kids into the school system, it's a huge investment. That's going to be a huge financial cost to that. That's not going to be offset by just taxes.
I should say I'm one of the households that has never had kids.
I don't either, so.
I still believe in investing.
Next question.
Yeah, I just wanted to debunk that idea. It sounds like what you're envisioning is 600 units of families that each have 5 children. I wish I had the study with the actual facts on it, but large multifamily facilities like that bring in more revenue than they cost to their children. So that's my question.
Thank you for the input.
Great, I have time for one more question, but otherwise, anything else you'd like to say?
No, just I asked for your vote. Please consider me during early voting and on May 6th. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one last candidate. No, thank you both. Thank you very much. Mr. Charles Carucci, come up and say a few things.
My name is Charles Carucci. I've been here since 1947, so you can figure that out. If you want some history afterwards, I'll give it to you. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. We had 3 children. I grandchildren, and everybody is in North Reading. Two of my daughters are teachers, and one granddaughter is a teacher. So I have kind of... I know I'm here for the elderly. I'm going to help try to put a package this year to the elderly citizens. In case you don't know it, the housing, everybody knows where the housing is for senior citizens in North Reading? All right, the town does not own that. Okay, that is a state building, a state project, federal project, which means that was built for servicemen who were retiring at one time. So if you're a retired serviceman, you have a right to go in there. The wife has a right to go in there. After that, North Reading comes. Just so you know, that's how that operates. The first time, this is my second time to run for this board. I could not run the last time because the state mandated that a person who lived at the elderly housing had to be on the board, so I got knocked out. But there's also another opening. I applied for it, which is a state representative for the board, but I was told you had to be a Democrat to get on. Am I correct, Steve? So I guess I wanted to be appointed to that. So they said, you better run instead of looking for the appointment. I also am not a Republican. My whole life has been dedicated to the town. And just so you know, the school was a big thing for me. Just so the people that are here for the school committee, that I started a road race that you see on Thanksgiving morning, and all the proceeds, or 95% of the proceeds go to the schools. All right, so this year we'll be up to $200,000 that we have invested in the schools. Now, getting to the why I'm running, to try and get some housing in this town for the elderly, a housing project. And I think, I'm not sure if this MBTA thing is going to go through. I have a feeling it is. Anything mandated, normally from the state, if you don't do it, you're going to lose money. So I'm looking, and we'll probably bring it to the town if that goes through, to build a facility for retired. Being pressured because now you're going to have the MBTA coming into town, which means you can offer transportation to Boston, Woburn, Reading, any place. And I feel as though that we could get money from the state to do this. What was the other? Yeah, what other?
Well, he's working at, if people have questions, please.
You got a question? Well, I'm ordering you.
Hi, my name is Deb Picciuto, and my day job is I work for the Senior Community Service Employment Program. And that program works very often with housing authorities all over the state to provide low-income seniors with training, bridge training to get to jobs afterwards. One of the things I do is I work with the Reading Housing Authority and the Georgetown Housing Authority. I'd like you to clarify, if you could, what we need to do to bring our housing authority stock up to an appropriate level whereby the conditions of the existing facilities are very insufficient and the need for more low-income, affordable housing is essential. Now, is it the board that you're on that is responsible to being the developer for new proposals? Or are you strictly overseeing the facility that is next to the baseball field?
We oversee, because the town does not invest any money into the elderly housing, okay? Reading controls us, because the young lady that is there, I only met her once.
I know her.
Right, I would assume you do. She controls the North Reading housing, okay? So anything we want to do, we have to go through her. All right, we only oversee the money that comes in from the state or whatever federal money comes in. The town does not pay anything. We also have 4 units up on Pond Road. I don't know if anybody's ever been up there. We control those 4 units. All right.
But are you responsible, not you personally, but your board, to undertake the effort to bring additional senior affordable housing? And actually these days, it's more than just seniors, disabled and other categories.
Right.
Who in the town structure is responsible for that agenda? I know Catherine Gallant, and I have tried to work with her to get my people to be employed in helping do programming and maintenance in the senior housing. But it's actually military retired housing.
Right.
So what's the plan for legit senior housing? But is it that your domain or is it elsewhere?
We would probably spearhead that, to bring it to the town, bring it to the selectmen. Like anything else, you need seed money to get it off the ground. Then that would become North Reading's housing, period. It would be eligible for North Reading residents.
Right, we're behind the curve
I want
quite
to
a bit.
make sure other people have time for questions.
We're behind the curve quite a bit, and I know you've been devoted. My mother lived till 104 in this town, so I know a lot about what's available to seniors.
And I knew your mother.
Yes.
Are there other questions? Great, come right up.
And anybody who wants to make future reservations, I will take them and hold on.
Do you know if there's a current select board person at the liaison for this?
I don't know, probably won't know until after the election, and they reorganize on the board.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Other questions?
Anybody else? All right. The only other thing I will say, which I always get a little mad at, is when somebody posts on Facebook, or they post in the transcript that the place looks like hell. It's a work in progress. You better remember, those are people's homes. They happen to have an area that they can go to and have a roof over their head, and that's their home. And I hate to see people insulting them on Facebook, in the paper. So I'm going to try. I thought I was successful the last term I was on there to do some things. And I'll keep pushing. But there is still an opening on the board. And that's going to come from the state appointment. And like I said, they told me that has to be, they'll appoint only a Democrat, from what I understand. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.